Welcome to Friday Morning Dharma on December 12th, 13th, Friday the 13th. Yeah, yikes. Let's go ahead and settle into a comfortable meditation posture. Please take care to ensure that your spine is straight and relaxed. As you settle into your meditation posture, please feel free to take as your role model the mountain. The mountain is still, balanced, silent, with ancient wisdom awareness. Please gently bring your awareness to the exhalation of your breath. And allow your exhalation to be just a bit longer and a bit more pronounced than your inhalation. Please feel free to experiment with pausing briefly at the bottom of each exhalation. Now is not the time to reflect on events that have occurred in the past. Those events cannot be changed, undone, or recreated. Nor is this the time to speculate about events that may or may not occur in the future. The future is unknown to us at this time. Now is the time to be fully present here in this moment. Now is the time to give yourself full permission to enjoy engaging in a practice that's going to bring you a peaceful state of mind, while at the same time creating the causes for a peaceful world. And with that, we can gently transition into meditation on the inner body. Please be the silent observer of sensations that may start in your hands and your feet in the form of a tingling, perhaps a lightness, perhaps a heaviness, perhaps a pulsation. No analysis is necessary. No interpretation is necessary. All that is asked of you is to silently observe sensations within your inner body and allow a more tranquil, awakened state of awareness to emerge. Day after day after day, the mountain simply observes silently. Rain may fall on the mountain or not. The wind may blow. The sun may shine. A flock of migrating birds may fly past the mountain. The mountain simply observes silently. No judgment, no labeling, no comparing, no speculation, no expectation. Be like a mountain as you silently observe sensations within your own body, mountain. At the center of your chest, at the center of your heart chakra, is your sewa, your innate capacity for infinite tenderness and warm heartedness. This tender heartedness is the essence of who you are. It is your fundamental nature. So, very gently, I'd like you to please draw your awareness in toward the region of your chest, not necessarily to the very center, but just the region will do fine for now. And just allow your awareness to rest in the region of your chest. the home of your Tsewa. Now, please redirect your awareness once again. Become aware again of this collection of parts we've agreed to label physical body, and allow your breathing to become less shallow. Taking deeper and deeper breaths, become aware again of the garments of clothing resting on the surface of physical body. Become aware again of your surroundings inside the room that you're occupying. Become aware again of the world that exists outside of the room that you're occupying. Become aware again of clouds, of blue sky beyond the clouds, of outer space beyond the blue sky. And you can know that you are not these phenomena, nor are you separate from these phenomena. We dedicate all of the merit from this morning's meditation to world peace. May all beings, without exception, soon come to rest in a state of perfect, complete fearlessness. May all beings, without exception, be completely free from all forms of emotional and physical suffering. May all beings, without exception, be happy, peaceful, contented, and free. Completely fill up your belly and lungs with air. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring your meditation to an end. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, so we are, this is our second Friday, the second Friday of the month. So we're going to do questions and answers and discussion. Questions, hopefully answers and discussion. Um, we have a couple of questions have been offered. Jill was kind enough to offer a couple of questions, sort of kind of more context related, um, with regard to our text. Good context questions. One was, um, what, like, when did this story take place? Yonge Mingyur, this wandering retreat that he did. When did this happen? Like, was it like in the 1800s? Was it, the 1930s? Well, we looked it up and the copyright of the book was 2019. So if we go backwards and look at the dates, maybe it took him a year to write the book. That would take it back to 2018, 3 years wandering, maybe 2014, 2015. So pretty recent. Yeah, pretty by my way of thinking, pretty recent this happened. Um, and the other question Jill asked was a really good one. In our first class, we talked about Yonge Mingyur like escaping from the monastery where he was the abbot. And in so many words, Jill asked, sort of like escaping from a monastery, like are they detained there? Is that sort of like how it is? And my sense is more that security guards patrolling the grounds were more maybe because the monastery was in kind of a dodgy part of India, and they have groundsmen and groundswomen, I guess, kind of keeping an eye on the place to make sure the place is safe, not to keep anybody from escaping. And yeah, I think Yonghe Mingyur wanted to get out without the guard seeing him so that he wouldn't be obstructed, or others wouldn't kind of have any idea where he was going for his new life as a sadhu, for his adventure. So thank you for those questions, Jill. Um, how about the rest of y'all? Any questions you'd like to ask or any comments that you'd like to make? Frank is taking off. He's on his way to Florida. Thanks for joining us for the meditation, Frank. The poor guy. Yeah. Travel safe. Guys, if for you people in here in person, you folks just please feel free to speak up, and you Zoomers unmute yourself and just sort of ask. Objections are also allowed here. So if you have any objections, please speak away.
Does all the question asking, but I'm going to ask another one. As a monk, as he travels through the land, I'm assuming he's not taking a purse full of money with him. Do people just automatically offer him food and sustenance and covering? Does that happen?
Right, right. Thank you, Jill. Without giving away too much of the story, Yangi Mingyur starts with a little bit of money, not much, a little bit, and it doesn't take long for him to exhaust all of his funds. Sort of after that, how the sadhus sort of exist is really just through the kindness of the people of the world. You know, sometimes they will have alms bowls, especially if they're ordained, like monastics. Sometimes they'll have alms bowls through which they beg their food. Yanghe Mingyur, as you'll read, has a different source for his food. But yeah, they're penniless, wandering, sometimes called mendicants or renunciants. They've renounced the world. So they just get on with whatever the people of the world are prepared to donate to them, gift to them. Yeah. It takes a lot of courage to undertake a life like that, I think. Tina, did you have something?
I wanted to say that I think one of the reasons that Yonge Mingyur had to escape was because he was the head of that monastery, and naturally the head of anything, your director, like let's say Jeff decides to leave Lotus Center for 3 years and doesn't want to be found. I mean, we would be concerned. You're not held prisoner here, but certainly we would want to know, have an idea of where you were. But if you left a note and said you were on a 3-year journey, I think we'd understand, although it would be, hard. But but I was also interested in, the fact that he had never been alone, and he is identified by his status and his, title Rinpoche, And it just is interesting to me for a philosophy that kind of sets aside hierarchy and status, that hierarchy and status is so clearly defined and promoted, if you
Mm,
know what I mean.
yeah, yeah, I do. Thank you for that, Tina. Um, you know, Yangi Mingyur is a Buddhist monk who was trained in not in Tibet, in India, northern India, but a part of India where a lot of sort of Tibetan cultures, you know, like asylum seekers from Tibet flooded into India in the northern part of India. And so there is kind of some Tibetan culture, but in the vast majority of the rest of India, kind of the maroon robes, the maroon and saffron colored robes, they don't mean anything to the people. People don't even know what they are. So he comments on the fact that it was really a unique experience for him to you know to live in this environment where he receives like nothing but reverence, and then he goes, you know, to another part of India on a train station, and there he's just like any other sort of, yeah, a real, had to have been a real shock for him, I think, a real for his system. And yeah, you said something else, Tina, that I wanted to speak to. Um, Oh, being completely by himself. He says, I think in the next pages that we read, like he said, he had never been on a train without having at least one attendant with him. And here he's getting ready to go completely on his own. I mean, it's almost like, in some respects, almost like an infant, like going into the world for the first time. It's just amazing. And all of it sort of speaks to, I think, the title of the chapter. Um, the title of the chapter, Who Am I? You know, he's in the process of finding out he's not some, like the true essence of who he is not some revered, respected, you know, honored, you know, figure of a Tibetan Buddhist monastery. You know, that sort of like went out the window when he left the monastery. So it's all sort of evolving and being revealed to him, I think. Yeah. What else, you guys? I've got a couple of things. One that just came to me. One was you know, monastery, prison, which is it? You know, and it's in the eyes of the beholder, you know. I'm sure that there over the years have been, you know, many monks and nuns who feel like they are imprisoned in this environment, you know, when they're sort of like having a bad day or a bad stretch. Other times it's like a heaven-like experience in this beautiful, peaceful, quiet environment. Yeah, it's sort of like beauty, monastery, prison. It's kind of in the eyes of the beholder, isn't it?
I think likewise, um, for myself, I think people construct who they think they are in the context of their families, where they live and so on.
Mhm.
And that can be kind of a prison if you can't break free from these conceptions.
Mhm.
Um, not expressing myself very well, but he grew up in a monastery. Everybody else grows up in a context
Mhm.
from which they gain who they think they are. And if you don't want to be that anymore, it's hard to break
Yeah,
free from it. It's kind of a prison.
yeah, yeah. Conditioning is a thing. for sure. Could you Zoomers hear that? What Nancy said?
Not really.
No, not really. Nancy said in so many words, and there's no way I can say it as eloquently as she did, but it's sort of like not many of us here, none of us involved here that I know of are monks or nuns in a monastery, but we are part of these entities in contemporary society called families. And, and we may have been pigeonholed either by choice or by influence of others, probably a combination of the two, into like being expected to serve a certain role, to be a certain way.
That's who we think we are.
That's who we think we are. And it can be like a prison unto itself. Yeah. So, and my comment was, conditioning, conditioning to that self-conditioning, conditioning of those around us. It all contributes to this sort of like maybe perhaps sometimes getting a more and more narrow, confined, restrictive view of who we are. Our job, maybe our aspiration might be to like break out of those notions of who we are or what we are, and and get to our true essence, which is limitless and boundless.
Especially when you haven't chosen that role.
Right.
I mean, Yangye Mingyur was chosen. He did not personally choose
Yep.
to
Yep.
follow that path.
Same with the Dalai Lama. He's said many times that, as they said, if you in interviews, he says, people often ask him, if you weren't the Dalai Lama, who would you want to be? What would you want to be? And his answer always is an anonymous monk leading a simple life, but kind of that's not his karma to have that life, Last thing I want to offer question. It's 9:00. We're out of time. Excellent contributions and questions. Thank you all so much. I want to ask you a question to consider over the weekend, over the next, maybe until we get together for our next question and discussion session, which will be the fourth Friday. So, Yangye Mingyur presents this practice called adding wood to the fire. Remember that? We talked about adding wood to the fire, like maybe subjecting yourself a little bit more to situations that cause you discomfort, right? As a means of like burning away these, delusions, we call them. So subjecting yourself to more uncomfortable situations that move us out of our comfort zone, sometimes known as our stagnation zone. Moving us out of our comfort zone. But the Buddha, remember in the story of the life of the Buddha, he started out in a palace, a very, very sheltered existence, left that and lived as an ascetic for several years, like depriving himself of water, food, shelter, proper clothing, all of the elements. And then he came away from that and found a middle way. And he said, that asceticism stuff, depriving ourselves of these needs and sort of conveniences, he said that's not the path to awakening. So how do you reconcile in your own life those two things, adding wood to the fire, subjecting ourselves to less comfortable situations, and the Buddha's conclusion that depriving ourselves of basic necessities is not the way to awakening? It's like for you in your own lives, your own individual situations, how do you find your balance between the two? So I'd invite us to let's collectively and individually think about that over the next few days. Thank you. You guys have a great weekend. Okay.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jeff.
Jeff. Thank you, Jeff.
Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for your contributions.